We noticed it first in the stillness, the kind that settles when a place looks prepared for people who never arrive. There was nothing dramatic about it, just a house waiting and a woman who had already been left behind. Marisol Bennett came back that night because she said she would, not because she expected anything in return, but because promises had always mattered to her. This is where she starts. I pulled into the driveway just after sunset. The porch light was on. The Christmas lights were blinking the same uneven pattern my mother never bothered to fix. I remember thinking, at least someone remembered to plug them in. I unlocked the door and called out, "I'm here." No answer. The house smelled like reheated food, not cooking, just leftovers. I set my bag down and walked toward the kitchen. Grandma Gloria was sitting at the table in her cardigan, a small plate in front of her, cold stuffing, a slice of ham wrapped in foil. "Oh," she said when she saw me. "You made it. I said I would." I leaned down and kissed her cheek. "Where is everyone?" She didn't answer right away. She slid a folded piece of paper across the table instead. Her hand shook a little when she let go. I opened it. My name was written at the top in my mother's handwriting. We had to use the money. It was urgent. "Please take care of Mom." That was it. I looked up. "What money?" Grandma stared at her plate. "The one you sent, and some from my account." Paula said it was temporary. My chest went tight. How much? She hesitated. She told me not to worry about the exact number. I sat down slowly. "Did they say where they went?" She nodded once. "A cruise. Somewhere warm." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't stand up. I just folded the note and put it back on the table. "I'm going to make you some tea." I told her. She reached out and touched my wrist. "I'm sorry, sweetheart." In the background, the lights kept blinking, like nothing had changed. We stay with stories like this because silence has a pattern, and someone always notices it first. If this moment feels familiar, you know why you're still here. I filled the kettle and waited for it to boil, already knowing this was not a mistake. The kettle clicked off before the water boiled. I stood there longer than I needed to, staring at the stove like it might explain something. When I brought the tea back, Grandma had pushed the plate away. Her hands were folded in her lap, knuckles pale. "You didn't eat," I noted. "I wasn't hungry," she replied. Then softer. "I didn't want to finish it without them." I sat across from her. "You said some came from your account." She nodded. "Paula had my login. She said it was easier that way. After the fall." "What fall?" She touched her hip. "The one in October." I was on pain pills. Everything felt foggy. I took a breath. "How much did she take?" Her eyes stayed on the table. "Between yours and mine." She mentioned 18,740. She said it like it was already settled. My mouth went dry. That number landed heavier than the note had. In the credit card I asked. "I don't remember opening one," she admitted. "Paula said it was for emergencies. She told me not to worry about paperwork when I was healing." I nodded. "Slow. Too slow." "She said they'd pay it back by February," Grandma added quickly. She was very confident. Where exactly did they go? Somewhere warm. The Caribbean. I think. She said Christmas would be easier without the cold. I stood up and walked to the sink. My hands shook when I turned on the water. "They left you alone," I said. She tried to smile. "You came." That was when it clicked. Not the amount, not the cruise, the confidence. This hadn't been rushed. It had been planned. I turned back to her. "Did she have you sign anything?" Grandma hesitated, then nodded. "I thought it was for my prescriptions." Later that night, Grandma sat in her recliner with a blanket pulled up to her waist. The television was on, volume low, some holiday movie she wasn't really watching. I sat on the floor with her checkbook spread out in front of me. "You don't have to do that tonight," she murmured. "It can wait." I know. I turned a page anyway. I just want to understand." She watched me for a moment, then sighed. "Your mother started helping after your grandfather passed. Just small things at first, picking up prescriptions, paying bills online. And you were okay with that." "I was tired," she said simply. And she sounded so sure. I traced a line with my finger. Withdrawals I didn't recognize. Transfers that lined up too neatly. "She ever show you statements?" I asked. She said they were confusing. A pause. She said I worried too much. That sounded familiar. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. Kendra. A photo. White sand. A drink with a little umbrella. No caption. I turned the screen toward Grandma. "They're not hiding." She shook her head. "They never thought they had to." I leaned back against the couch. This wasn't just about Christmas. "No," she agreed. "It started before that." I looked around the room. The same furniture. The same photos on the wall. Nothing looked stolen, but something had been missing for a while. I always thought if I stayed helpful, it would even out, I said quietly. Grandma reached down and rested her hand on my shoulder. That's what they counted on. The movie ended. The screen went dark. Neither of us moved. Morning came quietly. Grandma was already awake, sitting at the table with her glasses on, a manila folder in front of her like it had been waiting. "I found this," she said. Inside were copies, slightly crooked, a signature I recognized. "Mine. That's the power of attorney," I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "The limited one." She nodded. "After the fall. You told me to keep it somewhere safe. Paula hadn't asked about it once." I set the folder between us. "This means I can talk to the bank, the credit bureaus, all of it." Grandma watched my face. "Only if you're ready." "I am." The call took longer than I expected. Hold music. A voice that asked me to verify dates, addresses, my relationship. I read the document number out loud, slow and clear. When the agent came back, her tone had shifted. "We can provide transaction histories and device access logs," she said. "Given the power of attorney, you're authorized." I wrote everything down. Times, amounts, notes I didn't yet understand. After that, another call. Then another. Each one added a piece. A card opened while Grandma was on pain medication. Transfers tied to a device registered to my father's email. I hung up and looked at her. They planned this. She closed her eyes for a second. I didn't feel confused. She said. I felt rushed. My phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "Can we talk later?" I set the phone face down. "We'll take this one step at a time," I told Grandma. She reached for my hand. "I trust you." Outside. The porch light clicked off on its timer. Inside, the folder stayed open. She called just after lunch. I stepped onto the back porch to take it, the screen door sticking the way it always had. "Hi," she started, breath uneven. "I don't have much time." "That's okay." A pause. Wind on her end. Traffic. Maybe. "I need to be clear," she said. "I didn't plan any of this. I know." That seemed to surprise her. "You do. You sound scared." She let out a short laugh that wasn't funny. I'm a registered nurse. Marisol. If my name ends up anywhere near an elder abuse investigation, I have to report it to the board, even if nothing sticks. "I didn't put your name anywhere." "Paula did," she replied. "She had Noah run things through me once. Just once. She said it was cleaner." I leaned against the railing. "Cleaner for who?" Emily went quiet. Then, "I saw the credit card statement, the one in your grandmother's name. I knew it was wrong. And you stayed." I told myself it was temporary. Her voice dropped. I tell myself that a lot. I waited. She kept going. She coached us. What to say, what not to put in writing. She said you'd be upset, but you'd calm down. I pictured my mother, confident, practiced. Did she mention the power of attorney? No. Another pause. "That's why I'm calling." "I'm going to need something from you," I said. "In writing?" "I already started," Emily replied. "Dates, conversations. Who asked for what?" The porch light flicked on even though it wasn't dark yet. "I can send it tonight." "That works." She exhaled. "I don't want to lose my license. I don't want my grandmother to lose what's left." The line went quiet. Then, softly, "I know." When the call ended, I stayed where I was. The screen door creaked behind me. Inside, Grandma was watching, her hands folded, waiting. They came back on a Sunday afternoon, suitcases rolling across the driveway like nothing had happened. My mother pushed the door open with her shoulder, talking before she was fully inside. "It was freezing on the plane," Paula said, setting her bag down. "I swear they keep those cabins cold on purpose." My father followed, already scanning the kitchen. "Is there any coffee left?" Grandma was at the table. She didn't look up. I stayed where I was, standing by the counter. "We should all sit." Paula glanced at me, then smiled. "Can this wait? I haven't even unpacked." "It can't. That did it." She pulled out a chair, sat, crossed her legs. My father stayed standing, arms folded. Noah leaned against the wall, phone in his hand. Emily wasn't there. I slid the folder across the table. Not fast, not slow. "What's this?" Paula asked. "Records." I replied. "Transactions, account access, the credit card." Her smile thinned. "You went through my things." I used the power of attorney Grandma gave me. Silence. Then my father cleared his throat. "You're overreacting." Renee arrived a minute later, coat still on, briefcase in hand. She didn't rush. She set the case down, opened it, and took out a single document. "This is a notice of intent," she said evenly. "It outlines potential civil claims related to elder financial abuse and undue influence." Paula laughed once. "That's dramatic." Renee looked at her. "It's procedural." I spoke then. $18,740 was taken, across multiple accounts. While Grandma was medicated, Noah shifted. We were going to pay it back. With what I asked? Paula leaned forward. "You're turning this into something ugly." I met her eyes. "This isn't a conversation. It's a record." Grandma finally spoke. "I trusted you." Paula opened her mouth, closed it again. Renee gathered the papers. "You'll have time to respond." "Not much." My father looked at the floor. No one followed us when Renee and I stood up. The house went back to being quiet after that. Not the heavy kind from before. Something thinner. Over the next weeks, the phone rang in short bursts. Banks first, then letters. Plain envelopes that made my mother call at odd hours. "This is getting out of hand," Paula said one night, voice tight. "They froze the checking account. They flagged it." I answered, "That happens during a review." Frank left a message the next morning. No greeting. They shut down the joint card. I can't access anything. Renee took most of the calls after that. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She explained timelines, procedures, what came next. Adult Protective Services reached out to Grandma directly. A woman with a calm voice scheduled a visit. Gloria put on her good sweater and answered every question without rushing. I wasn't confused. She told her I was pressured. Noah showed up once, unannounced. He stood on the porch, hands in his pockets. "They're talking about filing," he said. "Civil. They already did." I replied, "It's pending." He swallowed. "Paula says you're enjoying this." I shook my head. "I'm finishing it." Emily emailed a signed statement that night. Dates, names, instructions she'd been given. She added one line at the end. "I can't afford to lose my license." Money came back in pieces. Not apologies. Transfers. By the end, it added up to $21,300. Principal and part of what Renee called compensatory damages. Paula stopped calling. Frank resigned from a committee he'd bragged about for years. Noah stopped posting online. Grandma's mail changed too. Fewer credit offers. A new account summary with only her name on it. One evening, she handed me a checkbook. "I want you on this," she said. "Not because I have to, because I choose to." I nodded. Outside, the streetlights clicked on, one by one. The mediation room was smaller than I expected. Beige walls. A box of tissues placed exactly in the center of the table, like a suggestion. Paula sat with her hands folded, eyes fixed on the notepad in front of her. Frank stared at the floor. Renee sat beside me, still, waiting. When it was Gloria's turn, she didn't look at anyone right away. She adjusted her glasses, cleared her throat. "I want to say this myself," she said. No one interrupted. I wasn't confused. She continued. "I knew what day it was. I knew who you were." Her voice stayed even. What I didn't know was why I felt rushed in my own kitchen. Paula shifted in her chair. The sound was small, but it carried. "You told me it was paperwork," Gloria said. "You told me not to read it because my hands were shaking." She finally looked up, straight at her daughter. "I didn't forget numbers," Gloria said. "I forgot to stop trusting you." Paula opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Nothing came out. The mediator glanced at me, then back to Gloria. "Thank you for saying that." Gloria nodded once. "That's all." When we stood to leave, Paula reached for her coat and missed the sleeve. Frank moved to help, then stopped himself. Outside. Gloria took a deep breath. "I didn't think I could do that." "You did," I told her. She smiled, small but real. I slept better that night. We moved north a month later. Flagstaff felt quieter, like the air asked less of you. Grandma picked the smaller bedroom without hesitation. Closer to the window, she said. "I like the morning light." My dental surgery happened the week after. I sat in the car afterward, numb and tired, realizing I hadn't clenched my jaw once all morning. It felt unfamiliar. Good, but strange. Grandma set up her new checkbook at the kitchen table that night. She handed me a pen. "Your name goes here," she said, tapping the line. "Because I want it to." I signed, careful, not rushing. Some evenings, we didn't talk much. We cooked. We watched the news with the volume low. When my phone buzzed, it was usually quiet things now. Work, groceries. Emily sent a short message once. Just, "I hope she's doing well." I didn't answer. One night, Grandma asked, "Why didn't you leave when you first found out I thought about it? Because if I left, it would have followed me." She nodded. "It doesn't anymore." She was right. I sleep with the lights off now. That's new. For the first time, Marisol Bennett isn't bracing for the next call. She's listening for her own voice. We stay close to stories like this because sometimes the ending isn't loud. Sometimes it's just finally quiet.